New business, we have a few things here real quick. First, Allan brought this in, but he was just a day late for last meeting's agenda. Variance request, Allan for an 8-foot fence. There's quite a bit about it at his previous meeting we had with Allan. He wants for an 8-foot fence between his properties that he's working on there on Arlee and First North. So he'd like to put the 8-foot fence between him and the neighbor to the west. There'll be 6-foot fences then around the rest of it, but the 8-foot variance would be from First back to the alley, bordering between his property and the neighbors to the west.
The Bell Brothers?
The Bell Brothers. So.
Well, I'll make a motion, we grant the variance for an 8-foot fence between him and the neighbor.
I'll second it.
Both made and seconded. The council discussion. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Disposal of surplus vehicles was brought up at the last meeting, and it was just kind of fresh on my mind. So I went and wrote down a bunch of vehicles that we have that need to be surplused. These vehicles are no longer in use, and some of them haven't been in use in years. So that is with permission from the council to surplus. So what we do with that is after you offer to the public nowadays on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, that type of place. So I went on, found some prices. We'll put them on there at those prices, and then it's just first come, first serve at that price. We don't budge on the price at all. But that way it's open to the public. The Trailblazer, the motor's blown up. The Ford F-250, the transmission, transfer case are both broke, and the bed's gone, so it's just a cab and a chassis. And it's like a 1990, I believe. The Chevy 3500, that's a 4-door, 1-ton pickup. The fuel system is bad in that. It needs 2 new fuel tanks with pumps and a transfer switch. About $1,500 is about what those are going for, non-running. The Spartan fire truck, that we will let a professional quote that for us. So there's a company in Alabama that's what they do, is buy and sell and trade fire trucks. I got all the pictures and all the information to them. They'll shoot us back like a Kelly Blue Book, what the low should be, the high should be. Our problem is where we live, we probably should just go with a low price just because getting it out of here. One, if it sits too long, it's not going to be any good at all. It's just going to be strapped too. So that type of stuff. The GMC water truck, that was given to us. That's a tandem axle, 1982 GMC truck with a water tank, a 2,000-gallon water tank. And when I looked that up in the truck papers and stuff, those are going for anywhere from $8,000 to $9,000 from condition. It's saying it's pretty rough. Some farmers use that to hold water. The Chevy Rescue the same way. It's an older Chevy pickup, some rust, bad tires, no pump, no equipment on it, nothing. It's just a pickup in a bed. But that's about what they're going for when you look at out there other vehicles similar. The idea is I don't want to be a used car salesman and just trying to get big money out of them. We just need to move them and get them off the books and put them on the group. So.
How many years the Chevy Rescue?
84. That GMC Brigadier is like an 80 or 82. That Ford F-250 I think is like a 1990. The Trailblazer is like a 2006. Like I said, it's actually in really nice shape. It's black and white, light bar, all that stuff. Light bar, of course, not to come off. But the motor's rolled up. They're whole beside the block. So you have to have a whole new motor to it. The Chevy 3500 is a 1991 and really rough when we got it from there. They come out of the Air Force. It's low miles, come out of Arizona. It's like the dash is completely gone. It's just metal. The plastic was all rotted off. The seats are gone. It was in the sun and the heat down there, but we used it. The fire department used it for a while, and then Public Works used it until finally just got to be, the maintenance was going to start out way, it was better for us to buy a newer truck. Like I said, in the Ford Explorer, that's a 2002 Explorer, but it starts, runs, and drives, but it's 300,000 miles or whatever on it. And they're looking, that's still kind of what they're getting is that $1,000. It's about where they're at for those older explorers with high mileage. So,
So when you do sell all these vehicles, what fund is the money going to?
Arlee Fund. Beer fund, yeah. That was a line item that's in secret ink down here. So there's actually a line item on here in revenue for salvage vehicles or for salvage and that type of stuff comes back in. Some money rolls back into it. We used to do a lot of, we were cleaning some of the scrap metal and stuff. It just goes back in the general fund. It's just a line item to receive it in, but just kind of goes to wherever. But back to it was, I brought up last meeting, and on the insurance books and all that, we have to keep everything insured. So all these things are insured, so we're paying insurance on them and all that. So it was fresh in my mind to make a list and get rid of the obvious stuff here right away and get some of that stuff moved out before winter comes and sitting through the winter again and becoming no good. So.
Well, I make a motion, we dispose of some surplus vehicles.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye? Opposed? Carried. Next item is spay and neuter clinic. We talked about it, but we never actually, the council never actually approved that as an expenditure. So those things just slip through the cracks there, so we need to do that because her clinic goes next week. So,
It's this week.
oh, this week?
This Saturday.
Oh, Saturday, oh.
That's why I tried to get the meeting next week, because I need to make an appointment right now.
Right, so, okay. Do I have a motion to approve the spay and neuter clinic?
Make a motion, we approve this spay and neuter clinic.
And just to be clear, we're paying for one day, and I have a volunteer donor that's paying for the second day.
And what was it? It was 3,500?
It's $1,300 for each vet tech, so $2,600.
2,600.
Plus a few little expenses like some water and things like that. But
Okay, so I think we budgeted 35 there to cover all
Yes.
the things, yeah.
more than enough.
Motion been made and seconded. Any other council discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed?
Who seconded it?
I made a motion, we don't have a second.
Oh,
Now that Ed seconded, Doug did second,
At this
okay.
time that I can.
We got back up, so,
Yeah.
okay, everyone's still good with the vote? Okay. Next item, public input and discussion on project ideas for fiscal year 26. Now, we kind of went over the budget the other night, took a little bit of time, and there was still some, people had some questions or some ideas or whatever, so that's why we're having another meeting tonight, so, just a little history, this is our 97th budget meeting for the town of Hot Springs. It always happens in May, June, July. We talked about it at the July meeting. We had a work session that was open to the public, and we talked about the August meeting. So we've kind of had it out there for everybody. But if people want to talk about projects or ideas where some of this money can go, we are starting to sit a little bit better overall in the budget, where we can start spending some money. A little bit the town is to take care of, by law, we have to provide adequate fire and police and that, and then we move out from there to parks or whatever we end up doing, whether it be street lighting or whatever, which has its own bug. I mean, so we got to take care of those basic things. So for a lot of years we've had trouble with that, and now we got a little extra money now, we can do some other things. So that's just out to the public on what they want to do. I know the Parks has a few other projects, and then we forgot all about it, otherwise we poured a bigger pad for the porta potty the other day too while we were doing that. Just, we forgot about that while we were doing some other stuff. The little building there and the pad and stuff, nice improvement. But also, as before the meeting started, you were sort of asking us, like the fence needs repaired, and so a lot of things we need to do that it still comes out of those budgets. Parks and Recreation, we budgeted $10,500 this year. But there's going to be some expenditures there too that are just for the park, like the fence, it's just starting to fall down on the back. The posts are rotten or what, I don't know what we have to do there. Some of the chain link fence is getting tore up from people putting stuff over the farmers market. You see people climb over the fence all the time, that just starts breaking them down, and then the fence is 15 years old or whatever, I mean, it's just some things that will need to happen there. But I'm open to you with any suggestions on any other projects, that the town might want to do, or that are out there, whether we do. One of the things that we talk about over and over and over, and I have not got a quote from the guy yet, is a water fill station, so people can pull in their truck or whatever, fill a tank, or they'll have a big filled hose on, so it'll fill big tanks, but if you just want to fill like a 5-gallon jug or something like that, there'll be a small hose on it too, so it's been used either way. He hasn't, I figured he'd get back with a quote for me this week, but he hasn't yet. So I don't know what that's gonna cost for the equipment, we'll still have to put it together, but there's things like that, you know, we have project ideas out there, and these ideas, and then I guess my question to the public, or the taxpayer of the town, is we're using your money to do these projects. So when we're using your money to do the projects, is what does it benefit to you as a taxpayer, or the town as a whole, so tourists come to town or whatever, or like doing the water fill station, yes, we're gonna charge, and we'll charge enough that it'll pay for itself over time, but everyone using that's probably gonna be an out-of-town person. It's not gonna be an in-town person, but you as a town taxpayer are paying for it, which will be some revenue coming back. I mean, over time, it'll pay for itself. But so some of those questions that we'd like to ask the public, and just let your way in on a little bit, is what,
So you brought up the fence at the park and how the wear and tear on that. What about putting a couple extra entrances on that because of how it's being used?
well, and that's one of the things, when we first did that, it was kind of a way to, when we were doing that, and we never put the gates in. The idea was when, you know, a family goes there and you turn your kids loose, it restricts them from getting to the roadways. It was kind of, and we never put the gates in. The original plan was actually there was going to be gates in all those too. Just so people could, especially have that bigger one up there by the playground. So you kind of turn the kids loose and not have to worry about them escaping out onto the street or something like that. You know, you know, and I understand, you know, there's like that long side, you know, people, it's just, you know, there's, we're gonna look at all that. Those are some things to look at when we're doing these things.
Well, that's my input, is maybe put in a couple extra openings and maybe finish the gates.
Put some gates on something just to help stop, you know, because down the road, I mean, even if you start doing the splash deck or more playground equipment or whatever, you need to restrict that access to the street, just kind of what we, and just never got finished up. Allan?
I just thought I might mention the culvert that's there that you guys are on looking up. I mentioned to Mike that it's, you know, it might be easier for you to come in on my land and work it, and you're welcome to do that, because it's just down in the pole.
Right.
So I just thought I'd throw that out, you know.
And then there's some of the other projects that I guess we have never even talked about, you know, projects like that, but those are some of those things that we still, for the well-being of the taxpayer too, is we still have water problems all over. We still need to put in some more culverts. We need to do some, like Michelle Street needs that 2.5 blocks of culvert put in. It needs, the ditch needs widened and culverts down North Road. You know, we need to do some of that work. On down, like behind the signs, actually, the landowner there is talking, maybe paying for the culverts in his area to help clean up his area.
Well, equipment, if we have equipment in there, is there anything that, if there's anything we can do to help, we're there to help.
Yeah. So there's some things like that, but there's money to be spent towards some of those stormwater runoff problems and some of that stuff. I mean, there's other things the money can be spent on. It doesn't have to be spent on a park, or it doesn't have to be spent on, it's just ideas for things that you see that, hey, we need to improve on something.
Well, couldn't we just carry it over, like you were talking, fruit funds, to carry it over some deposits from the river? And then actually do a town community meeting before the budget thing starts, and that's all we're talking about, and advertise, to really advertise.
Oh, yeah, but
people can say what the, so that people can actually say what they want to see their tax dollars be spent on.
so the other thing you have to remember, we're not, the money's sitting in there, we don't look at spending all the money. I mean, that's why we're starting to have money, is because we haven't been spending the money. So if there's no projects that come up or nothing like that, that money just goes back.
Dog park that kept being talked about at our pre-budget meeting, and so that's what precipitated this whole conversation, is why are we putting this $10,000 that used to be in the dog fund, the animal control fund, and we put it in the park recs, and then it was constantly said to back to the dog park.
Well, I got to put the wrong line item to begin with, that was the problem, but, and we never said there was gonna be $10,000 for our dog park, that was just the money in the budget. We never had a number, we had some number on some fencing and some stuff, but we still don't even have, well, the county will even let us use the property, so there's no, that's just something that's been talked about and thrown around, but also throw around splash pad, but, you know, there's 150,000. Yeah,
It's a pretty good searches, and you can get it for a lot less than that. You can spend a lot, or you can spend a little, so you can spend a little and then add on it as you go.
And the one I looked at
Grants.
18 years ago, of course, it was way cheaper then too, it was pretty inexpensive. Some of the concerns with the splash deck are it's used 4 months out of the year. It has to be winterized, but some other things may be used year round, maybe the money gets spent. Maybe, I said, maybe the stormwater collection becomes a concern for everybody, and we put in bigger culverts and do some of that work. Which needs to be done in a lot of spots, is we need to upsize the culverts and then do some of that stuff, because we are getting more runoff water, because of just what's going on. And, the people, our neighbors, are not flood aerating anymore, so those ditches have went away, so the water comes into town instead of, you know, so there's.
Yeah, I just think that's way more critical than some discretionary park business, you know. My hope is sometime out in the future, there's someone who will donate the money in the splash deck, the same way that.
Well, I was there. Yeah, I told you some of those grant places, and I will help you with that.
Well, you know, the way that the tribe is putting skate parks around in the communities, that could happen with our splash venue too.
Well, one of the other things
But stormwater is a town issue and needs to be addressed.
And one of the other things with the tribes right now is there is another donor that is donating, and Mike hasn't got back to me, but there's a donor that's donating playground equipment. So that.
Yeah, I was in contact with them. I sent them an email last year. There's an identity over in Folsom. I forget their name now, but they are wanting to go around parks on the reservation and put in playgrounds to encourage families to get out and go to the park and exercise and not just sit around and play video games. And so, but I sent them an email and I haven't heard anything back, so.
Yeah, so I was, Mike said that was one of those things that was, kind of got some momentum and then kind of died a little bit, so we'll touch base. It's just hard, it's actually interesting is, even on the skate park, is he put a lady in Lands in charge of it, and she won't return my phone calls. Even Mike has called her and told her to return my phone call, and she hasn't, so. So it's interesting that how some of those things happen, so Mike's still working on all that, but.
Maybe the one time at flood here this last year, that was all from the county's responsibility, right? You came in and saved that.
Yeah, it is the county responsibility to a point, but they're not gonna do nothing about it, so
Yeah.
we have to protect ourselves from the.
Yeah, you guys really did a good job.
So we gotta get in there and dig those ditches a little deeper and add bigger culverts and do some of that. And I think the tribe will help us on a couple of the culverts, but a couple of them we're gonna have
Yeah, I
to
think get in there.
So
That was maybe.
we'll get some more of that done, so that's,
I just, even though it doesn't really affect us on the stormwater, we were kind of insulated from that stuff going on. I would really like to see that get done just to protect the town. I think that would allay some years after people saw what happened this last spring. Would help out a lot.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
That was really good stuff.
yeah, so that's some of those things that we need to get in there and widen stuff and put the drainage stuff in. And that's what we found, a lot of the culverts are big enough, even in town, it just wasn't letting that water go on down. So I said somebody, we have a homeowner or a property owner that wants to put in quite a bit of it, which makes his property more valuable too, because now he doesn't have a ditch to his property. Now he has a flat piece of property, but which benefits him too. But also that gives a great avenue for that water used to get out of there. That instead of going down the streets and through yards and into basements and all that, just, it went down through and went across and into a basement, and filled the basement up, then went to Allan's and across his and on down, so.
We engineered a huge French drain all the way down, through there, so it's good.
So yeah, so that's some of those things that, stormwater is a big deal, and we have the stormwater plan, we have the, kind of basic engineering on all of it too already done, those in one of our preliminary engineering reports, so.
So I was asked to find out if there was any interest in the dog park. I put it on Facebook. There is some interest in the dog park. Some of the other ideas that were thrown out were, of course, water feature, anything for kids, playground equipment, adult exercise playground equipment. Someone even mentioned the street lights. I called the people that were at the last meeting to make sure that they knew we were having a meeting. I think one of Mariah's things, I did not get a hold of her, but Renee called Leslie for me. But one of Mariah's things on Facebook was the adult exercise equipment. So I did check on that. Mary, your phone doesn't work. I can call you. I can. It's also another from the phone company. Oh, okay. And sometimes it's and then it comes back on. Oh, yeah, I tried calling you. I did get hold of some of these guys, but yeah, so that was my conversation with the people I talked to, and then the stuff that was from Facebook. Those were some of the things they were interested in. When I did the poll in the community group I started, and it was 20 for a dog park, 75 for the water feature, the IMG nest, and then also repair northbound, southbound streets was the other item that just got added.
Yeah.
There's definitely some confusion on, for example, someone asking for more streetlights. That's not actually come out of that fund, that would be the park money. For streetlights, just so everyone knows, if you want some more streetlights, we can do that. We have money in the streetlight fund for doing that. So there's some confusion on what can be spent out of what fund.
Yeah, the streetlights, anyone can request a streetlight, and we'll go out and look at it, and if it's a feasible thing, that's already budgeted, that's already an item that it's its own fund, street lighting is, so that's no problem to take care of that.
Well, there was that group of women that wanted a pickleball court, and I understand they're trying to build one out of the museum grounds. But, I mean, there was a large group of pickleball women in town.
There still is.
Yeah.
The water filling station would put funds back now, just out of
It
curiosity.
would actually, it would come out of water, which is its own thing.
But that's a question I guess asked a lot of hours, because I deal with a lot of the campers that come through here, and the RVs and all of that. And I can tell you that if you're looking for where you could make town back and a dump station in this town, would be huge.
That's a good idea.
I agree, that job station would be
That
great.
I'm through Deer's Camp, and they don't want to follow the way, and there's not a close one, there isn't one in front of me, I'll take the one.
Cold water.
No, we do, for our RV dumps,
Yeah.
$55 a dump.
And what is the town charge for water?
So,
What is the town charge for water up at the city shop?
it's, well, there's a hookup fee, there's a 25, so the guy comes with the trailer, it's $25 plus the water.
They use water, they do, it's $25, but if it goes up to 1,000, if it's over 1,000, it's another 25. So it's not by that, yeah.
And the water, if we put in a water fill station, it would be by the gallon, so it would have a $20 thing, stick the money in, and so they wouldn't have the $25, the kind of $25 fee is, on the water guys, have to go down, hook it up, wait there, let it do it, unhook everything, put some time, maybe not.
It costs actually to make a station, and you have to have like a special.
That's why I got a quote coming from a guy, and it's all the drawings and everything, it's all included. We'd have to buy a vault, which is concrete vault to put in the ground, but then he sells you all the rest of the stuff that goes on top of that, so the valves, the timers, the money changer and all that, I send all off and all the information, and I thought I'd have a quote by now, and if I had thought this morning, I'd have called, remind me to send a quote for us.
Where would it be installed at?
Well, I was gonna do it by the library there, by the fire hydrant at the library. But now that's gonna probably be where the start of the skate park's gonna be. But my thought was, even if we just move it down across from Mission Valley Power along the sidewalk there, there'd be another spot for people to just pull in, do it, just drive on around the block, they don't have to back up or do anything. It needs to be out in a public spot. I don't wanna put it like a city shop or somewhere it's out of sight from everybody. It just needs to be out there where everyone can see it, people can use it, and, try and hide it and no one's using it, but relatively still have to be used. So they come through in their RV or whatever, they just pull in, fill with water and drive away. And if we decide to go further and put the dump station in, sewer's right there too, that's not a problem, it could be both of them.
I just know that it's a very common question that I get asked, at least once or twice a week, by people in campers and all of that, so.
It's not like the good old days, we just back up in the ditch.
Well, hopefully.
Hold on to the boat launch and,
I don't know.
so, and it is a problem, there's so many people in them, and doing that anymore.
Well, they take the town money.
Yeah, like I said, it'd be a billable, so it actually end up paying for this stuff. We're getting more and more and more bulk water people because it's so expensive to drill a well anymore. So these guys are just using cisterns and really, if you're not watering a lawn or anything, really, you don't use that much water in the house, really. You're watering flowers and plants and stuff outside, yeah, you use a lot, but actually in your house, if you have low flow stuff and all that, really, you don't use that much water, so it's the cistern thing, that's why a lot of people just do it, because it's so much cheaper to drill a well, put the infrastructure in, wells are over, you're gonna be 40,000-50,000 to build a well now for a house, that type of thing, so you can buy a lot of water for that.
What I'd like to see is just hang on to that money, and then next year in June or May, when we really get started on budgets, to really push for a community-wide meeting and really advertise and ask people and tell people about it and actually get community involvement as how those people want us to spend the tax dollars. Some of it, I know it's gotta be on certain items, but when there's a little bit extra, people should have a choice. You can put $50,000 in the Parks Fund and have a meeting next month to decide what projects they want to do. Just because you put it in the fund doesn't mean you're spending it on anything particular. And I understand budgeting, Amy, but I want to get the town's input, and we're already doing the budgeting, so it's a little bit late to now try to get input on how people want to see things spent.
This is about all more of the crowds.
I don't think there's a bigger crowd.
With your survey on social media, you got 100 people
Yeah.
responded, because they didn't even have to get off their butt to do anything other than hit a button at home.
Yeah.
To get them out and come down here to a meeting is like pulling teeth.
Well, I remember when Renee was mayor, I used to attend some of those meetings and actually did have more folks show up to talk about it. And I know the budget was tighter then, but I guess I like to see community involvement and like to push for it.
Tighter than I took over, Renee resigned in July, I took over. I had to borrow money to make payroll, that's how tight the budget was.
That was in 17 or something, when there was some of the meetings. Well, then the 114 people that program showed up there. They were under the impression that what they were deciding and having over and come together and what happened. But then when we got Morris and Arlee to do that, as engineers, we had one question. We didn't have to put a good policy, and so that's all they did.
But part of it is too, is just to back up what Ed said, this is our 4th official advertised budget meeting. 4th official advertised to the public budget meeting over 2 months, and this is the audience. We have beat the horse to death, so you can keep saying, I want more people, that's correct. You might get more, but this is the 4th official public meeting. There you go.
I guess what you call advertising, I put it up on the bulletin boards and maybe running an ad and ledger, I guess. I don't really see promoting and pushing, in my view, because I get more people showing up for volunteers and do stuff to food with art. We have 50
Right,
people
because,
showing up.
because people are interested in that, and that's what they're interested in. This happens every year. This is the 97th year this has happened. This isn't a surprise. This isn't something new. We're not reinventing a wheel here. This is how it goes. And I'm with you on not spending the money. That's fine. I mean, I'm not trying to spend all the money or nothing, but all we can do is put it out there to the public, and then come and give their opinions, and we can talk about some stuff and look at stuff, and that's great. But we don't need to just keep having meeting after meeting after meeting, because I'm gonna change it. We've already had, this is number 4, just for this, so.
Marketing is difficult, especially for someone who's excited to town meeting. Well, we can make them exciting, but someone might go to jail.
Well, Bob's gonna speak, and he's gonna solve all of our problems here. Okay, Bob?
Actually, I was just thinking, I mean, why not put together a 2-page survey and get the phone company to deliver it with the phone bill or something like that, so that people have a chance that they can, just fill it out and drop it off at City Hall or something like that. Where, it is long enough that, they have some choice, they can do this meeting. I sent out 400-ish surveys, 450 surveys, I got back like 50. We also had to pull to get that. That's going through, that's going through us.
So we direct mail, and we did direct mailing. So that was, every person got one, direct mailing.
Is that the one about blocking your water pipes?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it said in the letter that if you didn't respond, you guys were going to contact us. I don't know how to tell if mine read or not. I kept waiting for someone to contact me. No one ever did, so I gave up on it.
It said if you didn't notice to put that on there, and then they would.
Send it back.
The way I read it, it was just that if you didn't respond, but also if you didn't respond, if you didn't know, someone would contact you. I kept waiting.
We sent out over 200 DD letters also, and only got 50 of them back.
I think I'm up to 73.
73 out of 260.
So it's just not a thing that people are taking a big deal. A lot of people just feel that they elected us to take care of things for them, and
Until there's a big issue, you're not gonna get a ton of people in here. Because they trust the council that you guys have, and they trust the place, that's why you guys are here. I think that if I was gonna do a direct mailer, I would do one that says, hey, this meeting is at this time. I wanna put the survey in there, I won't do anything, because I'm not gonna spend the time to fill it out. But if you then put it in the phone bill, or just water bill today, this is when this budget meeting is, this conversation is, that would be the best way. Better than Facebook, it's better than any social media, because there's a lot of people in our town that do not do social media.
And that is.
So if you just do something simple like that, but you don't expect people to give you back the survey. I lived in school for 10 years. I sent out a gazillion of that stuff. I sent out paperwork to emergency contacts and all that. You don't get it back. You have to literally bring the person in and have them fill it out. So, I mean, I think that announcing is all you can do. If that's you force the people to be.
And that's maybe even if we wait till things slow down a little, weather changes a little, and you did
Yeah.
and advertise it just as a round table meeting, or you just put some paper up on a wall and just talk about whatever comes up.
Exactly.
And then look at some stuff. And we can always do that later on in the year. We don't have it.
I mean, come on. We have treats. I'll make cookies. You have food for people. I'm sorry, anybody who knows their salts and gets people in the meeting, you know, when I ran the DB program, I used to make huckleberry coffee cakes in the Thompson cup. They came.
Yeah, it's not donated my whole way. And it's true, because in our fire and ambulance meetings, and just how we have them, is we feed, that way people can go from work right to the training. Yeah, we feed them that way. They don't have to try and go find some deep food.
Yeah.
But Trudy will be in charge of treats then.
Fine, I will.
But no, you probably need to wait for the weather so people aren't out doing things in their yards and all that. But so, Mary?
I'm looking for some clarification about the public input figures into, say, street finance.
because, my town code has this language like, that is kind of up to the city or town council, and has power to provide the lighting, etc., and is authorized to create special improvement districts that light street lighting. And there's some streets that goes on like that, legalese and stuff. And then it says, require that all or any portion of the cost of installing and maintaining such lighting system be paid by the owners of the property and the properties of such properties and the assessment collect such portion of such cost by special assessment, as a special assessment.
It's all there, it's all in place.
Whatever that means, it's not businesses people that can do this. And it's gonna be the property owners, and it doesn't say anything about anybody can opt out, it doesn't say anything about that it doesn't carry on to successive owners that might inherit. I see it right, and just because of the mentions special.
You gotta remember who the owner of the streetlight is. Most of the streetlights in town are owned by the town. We are the owner. It's not owned by you. If you have it put on your property, then it's owned by you and you have to pay the costs for that. Most of the streetlights in town that we pay for are owned by the town. We are the owner. But there's lots of people that have streetlights in their yards that they pay for separately. And there's lots of them in town. I mean, when you drive around town, lots of people have their lights in their yard, and that's a whole different thing. They have to pay for that. Okay. Anything else? Any public comment on non-agenda items? Hearing none, we have a motion to adjourn.
Make the motion to adjourn.
Second it.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.